All right. Is everybody can hear me? Hopefully, all good. All right. So as I was saying, I'm going to talk about identity, ascension, the shift in consciousness, and creating your personal power field, which is really important for maintaining a coherent vibrational frequency in these new dimension, into the new dimension we're going to shift into. But anyway, so the name of this is, it all started for me with the question of who am I? And asking that question more and more led me to greater and greater truths. So I start off with this question all the time, who am I? And I'm going to start off this conversation by talking about identity in general, because having a more expanded awareness of your identity will help you understand this information much more easily. So, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Slide 2. Okay. So, to talk about identity, I label this as kind of like a meditation, but so what I want you to do is, for this moment, imagine yourself as this one consciousness, and there's, you could see the screen, there's a circle right there. And imagine yourself as this one consciousness, the I am presence. Pretty simple, like a complete circle, whole and complete. And so within this circle, your consciousness, everything that can possibly exist already exists within your consciousness, within the one thing. So everything you can imagine, your body, all emotions, all thoughts, planets, other beings, any religious constructs, positive, negative polarities, physicality itself, the concept of life, the concept of death, the concept of non-existence itself exists within your consciousness as a concept. So if you follow me, I just ask you to imagine yourself as this consciousness, and this consciousness, which is you, contains all things that can possibly exist, and ever will exist, and ever and always have existed. And so I put a quote by Joseph Campbell: all gods, all heavens, all hells are within you. And that's kind of signifying what I'm talking about here, is that all things within consciousness, within this complete circle, this complete consciousness, which I'm asking you to imagine as yourself, all these concepts exist within it. And you direct your life experience by consciously holding your attention on your intention without going to the distraction. So what I mean by that is, you direct your life experience by holding your attention on specific things within this consciousness, within this complete, whole, conscious circle of consciousness. And and that's how you experience your physical reality, by holding your attention on, hey, I'm the body, this is what I believe in, these are the rules that we're playing by, and all these things are within your consciousness as concepts. This is what I'm trying to get at when I'm talking about identity here. So the law of attraction, basically, a lot of people know what the law of attraction is. It's just like energy attracts like energy. And so what most people don't understand about the law of attraction is that it's not what you want. It's not like, hey, I'm going to imagine I want this or I want that thing, and the law of attraction is going to bring it to me. In reality, the law of attraction works based on your actual vibrational frequency. So for you to attract what it is you want, you have to be the vibrational frequency of that thing. You have to be it to attract it. So, like, I'm going to expand on this a little bit further. And all this is leading to the understanding of why it's important to build your personal power field. So within this circle to the left, let's say that's your identity construct. Like, let's say that's you, okay? If you were a circle, and within you are all these different energetics, like different skills, different talents, different patterns that make up your, being. And within this circle, for example, it's got positive and negative patterns. So like confident, talented, well-being, peace, unworthy, separate, lack, uncomfortable, excitement, love, non-acceptance. So your identity, for example, most of us on the physical plane, in the physical reality, have an identity construct that contains many different vibrational patterns that are not useful for us. So like things like unworthy, or I'm lack, or I'm in poverty, or I don't accept this, or I hate you, or anger, things like of that nature, those are patterns within your identity construct, within your field. And so earlier I was talking about this circle, this complete this consciousness that within it all things exist. And so if you were to look at this circle, and within it all things exist, right? And then look at this other circle that has your personal construct. Imagine this smaller circle within that bigger circle. So your personal identity construct is within the bigger consciousness. If you imagine concentric circles, it goes from smaller to bigger to bigger to bigger to bigger. And so what I'm trying to get at is and what the ancient alchemists knew is that you can consciously alter and deconstruct or construct your identity based on what you put your attention on, and you draw these things from the collective consciousness, and you draw choices, like you draw certain energetic patterns and you draw them into your personal circle or identity, which is the identity construct right here. So there's this infinite pool of possibilities, and you, as this finite perspective, go into this infinite pool of possibilities and you draw whatever you put your attention on into your personal identity construct. I hope this is making sense so far. And so your identity changes based on literally what you choose. And every time you choose, you strengthen neural patterns in your brain that match that choice. So, and that's how the law of attraction works. It provides you things that are based on your dominant frequency, which is determined by your mental attitude, and which is in turn determined by your habitual thoughts and beliefs. So the law of attraction will attract things to you based on what you believe and what your habits are. And what I'm saying is you can change and alter and transform all those things, and therefore direct your life experience in the direction that you want. By knowing that you are not the personal identity construct, you are the consciousness that pulls certain concepts into this identity construct to experience yourself from. So I'm going to go on here and I'm going to talk a little bit about dimensions, which are realms of experience. And I'm going to talk about the third, fourth, and fifth dimension, and talk about why I believe we're shifting into the fifth dimension. And I'm going to talk about the differences between these dimensions, and it's all going to come back together, and you'll understand why this is important. So dimensions are like, there's many dimensions that exist simultaneously right here and now. And the analogy that I use is like changing the channel on your TV. So when you change the channel on your TV, you're kind of like going to another dimension, another channel. The other channels still exist, but you're tuning into a specific channel of your choice and experiencing a specific TV show program. So if you look at these dimensions kind of like TV channels, and you as like the viewer or the participant in that channel directly, and so let's talk about 3D. Third dimension. Third dimension is characterized by no choice. It's an unconscious and reactionary state of being. So basically, your external environment and your past experiences highly affect who you believe you are. So 3D is basically like just reactionary. You have no choice. You're not choosing. You're not aware. You're just basically reacting to whatever is happening externally around you, and you're also reacting based on what happened to you in your past. Fourth dimension, and these are stratas of consciousness. Fourth dimension is a place of more choice. It's also it's like a transition dimension into the fifth dimension. So fourth dimension, there's more choice, and you're aware of being aware and are able to maintain some stability in the present moment. So what do I mean by being aware of being aware? Being aware of being aware is when you're consciously aware that you can choose a thought or emotion right now in the present moment. So being aware of being aware is like, I know that I'm here right now and I can choose whatever it is I want out of the infinite pool of possibilities and integrate that into my life experience and change myself. So when you're aware of being aware, that means you have the choice to choose what to think consciously. So, my example of like 3D would be like, you're talking to someone and then some kind of irritation arises and you get in a fight, and then you just are throwing energy at each other, kind of like if they push you, I'm going to push back. It's like I get pushed, I push back. I get pulled, I pull back. You know what I mean? And it's very reactionary. 4D is like if someone pushes you, you have a choice of how you're going to react, or how you're going to respond, rather, to that situation. And the response is what, in that observation, that you have a choice, and the way you respond is already, you're already rewiring your neurocortex to react or respond differently. You're already attracting new life situations to you based on how you choose. So choosing is the most important thing that you can do, and I'll talk about that in the power of attention more and more as we go through this presentation. So moving on, the fifth dimension is literally, it's like you're unlimited. All your spiritual abilities are unlocked, like telepathy, instant manifestation. You have the fully active Adam-Kadmon light body template in place. You're in full harmony with all your surroundings, and you're fully aligned to your authentic vibration, authentic tone, because everyone has their own authentic tone that they come onto the planet with. And so what is the Adam-Kadmon light body? What is this? The Adam-Kadmon light body is basically like an expanded template for you to experience yourself multidimensionally. And Master Kathumi, who's an ascended master, this is how he described the fifth dimension. To enter and remain in the fifth dimension, you must master every thought, every emotion, and every action, every moment. And the reason this is important, so basically what Master Kathumi, who is an ascended master, meaning he is stably in the fifth dimension and beyond. And again, the fifth dimension is literally instant manifestation. You say apple, and an apple appears in your hand. You say, I want to look like this, and your body will change. You can change your DNA. You consciously, literally, your eyes are like open, the veil is lifted. You have access, and you're connected to the source again, and you have access to vast amounts of new information, access to more of yourself, basically. And so in the fifth dimension, you're instantly manifesting, literally. So whatever you think, it's right now manifest. So if you thought like, You know that Allstate commercial where the guy's like, and can I get a hot tub? I don't know if you've seen that, and then the hot tub appears or whatever. You basically think a thought, and then you're there. You experience it right away. There's no buffer. So if you look at like you can look at the third and fourth dimension in this way too. If you've ever gone bowling, and they have those like side bumper things, so that you don't get it in the alley or the gutter or whatever, that you could turn on, that makes it easier for you to bowl. So third dimension is like a very rigid box system. It was put in place to prevent the fall of consciousness from falling down any further, and it was very useful, but it's no longer necessary. And so as we're shifting into higher vibrational frequency rates, we remove some of those buffers that, in the bowling example. The fourth dimension is things manifest quicker, but they're not instantaneous still. It's like in between 3D and 5D. It's like you're able to choose, and you're more aligned with who you are, and you're aware that you can choose, and that's because you're aware, you're able to guide yourself to fully stabilize and create your personal power field so that you can maintain your identity in the fifth dimension. So now, so let me put it this way. Why would it be challenging to maintain your frequency in the fifth dimension? The answer is because in the fifth dimension, like I was saying, you have ability to manifest things instantly. And if you get into the fifth dimension without having full mastery over your lower self, meaning your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, then you can just think a thought that you didn't choose, like a negative thought, like, I'm really scared, I feel like I'm going to get squished in the fifth dimension. And then instantly you get squished in the fifth dimension, because the nature of the fifth dimension is to manifest what you put your attention on instantly. So basically the 3D and 4D are there as constructs to help you master yourself so that you can maintain, like Master Kuthumi says, maintain every thought, every emotion, every action, every moment. So in the fifth dimension, you really, to be stable in the fifth dimension and have all your spiritual abilities unlocked and manifest instantly and be in complete harmony with yourself, but also the planet and the cosmos, and beyond. You're basically the atom carbon body is like being free from the physical body. It's kind of like there's not as much density, so you're able to check out other planets and check out other solar systems and stuff. But you can't do this, you can't get there until you consciously take the responsibility to master yourself. So I'm going to go on to the next slide. So here, you must be the frequency you wish to shift to. To do this, you must build a structure that will allow you to hold a coherent stability in that new frequency. So this is what the personal power field is all about. You want to build a cohesive structure, a power field around you that will allow you to hold the light, hold greater amounts of light, so that you can maintain a coherent stability in the fifth dimension when we shift into it. And then you ball out in the fifth dimension and do all sorts of awesome stuff. Alright, so Ascension process. This is very basic, but it's broken up into three things. And Ascension process is basically a shifting of your frequency. And I gave the analogy of shifting the frequency to the next TV channel. So these three steps, they're really simultaneously occurring at all times. And these three simultaneously occurring steps are what I would call the purification of self. And this is what alchemy is all about. And many other religions, but alchemy is my thing. So This is what alchemy is all about. It's the purification of self. All the alchemists knew this, that they can, I'll get into it in a second. So the first one is identity expansion. So, and remember, identity expansion, purification process, and creation process, all three of these things, they happen simultaneously. So identity expansion is like to expand your understanding of yourself. So the more you really understand who you are, and I talked very briefly about this earlier, about perceiving yourself as consciousness, and you as consciousness construct this physical body and this entire experience by putting your attention on the things within yourself. So it's a shift in perceiving yourself as a more expanded version. So it's kind of like if you were a red blood cell and then you evolved and expanded your identity into being like the full body, you know? Or like the heart that the blood cell is a part of. And then the heart expands into like the body. You know what I mean? So identity expansion is basically to do this stuff, and this is what's happening right now. This is the shift that's happening right now. You must expand your identity, your understanding of your identity. It's vital. That's why I say ask the question, who am I? And you will get more and more synchronistic answers that are in alignment with your imagination. Because that verse, ask and you shall receive, is 100% true. By putting your attention on something, you receive that thing, is what I'm talking about here. So identity expansion is all about knowing yourself and fundamentally understanding that your ability to choose is how you shift your frequency into higher vibrations. And only you can do this for yourself. So by choosing specifically to go through this purification process and creation process and understanding of your identity, which only you can do by your attention, no one can save you by yourself is what I'm trying to say. But yourself is what I'm trying to say. So by changing yourself, you actually change the world, because the more you choose what's your highest excitement, the more you choose your authentic self, the more you reflect to others that they can do the same, and it empowers others to be authentic also. And then the more authentic people, the more happy people, the more happy people, the more of a happy collective we're participating in. And that allows us to move into things like shifting into the fifth dimension. And So the second part is the purification process itself. So as you start to understand who you are, as you start to understand yourself as consciousness, okay? And this body is within consciousness. So you have to shift your identity from being the body and the accomplishments and the actions and the thoughts to the consciousness that directs it. And so as you do this, you start to see that, you start to become aware that there's a lot of things within your identity construct, within your neural patterns of the brain, that are negative belief systems, negative patterns, and blocks that limit your ability to follow your excitement. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about things like fear, anger, resentment, pride, worry, lack, less than, frustration, anxiety, things like that. So you'll start to, and everyone has this stuff in them, because as a child, when you're born pure, and then you, like a sponge, take on all these collective vibrations from a level of trust. And as you grow older and you become aware of being aware, you can now choose to deprogram those things and therefore transform yourself and the reality you're in. So the purification process is really important, because this is where alchemy, there's a 7-step process to alchemy, and it's all of these three things simultaneously, but the purification process is huge, because as you start to expand your identity, you start to know that you have to clear all these negative belief systems to get to the higher vibrational frequency. To get to the fifth dimension, you have to clear fear away, period. You have to clear anger and resentment away as a choice, period. Again, as I was saying, because if you get into the fifth dimension, which is instantaneous manifestation, then you're going to manifest your fears like right away, instantaneously. And so it's up to the individual to clear away these patterns that are not useful, and that are the source of your suffering. And so you have to go walk through this darkness and hold your focus on the light. And what I mean by that is it kind of goes to the creation process. This is the third simultaneous part of the purification of self, or the ascension process, as I like to call it. The creation process is where you hold your attention on the light, basically. So you hold your attention on new patterns that allow you to follow your excitement. And you identify with the version of yourself that you wish to shift into. So before I was saying that, to attract, law of attraction, to attract something to yourself, you have to be that thing in order to attract the experiences of that thing to you. And so it's not just like thinking, you have to literally embody it. And this is the beauty. This is why the understanding of your identity is important, because you are not this one person. If you think about it, you change your identity, or you shift your consciousness into a different identity every moment. So, for example, like there's the you that's happy, excited, confident, playful. And that version of you is a very different set of patterns and constructs than the you that's sad, angry, unhappy, depressed, And so basically what's happening is you as consciousness are shifting into a different identity construct that already exists within the one. And so a way that you can, this is a practical way that you can choose a version of yourself to shift into. And I call this the mirror example. So have you ever, you look at a mirror all the time. So when you look at a mirror, like in your bathroom or wherever, you look at the reflection in the mirror, and notice that if the reflection in the mirror is directly reflecting what is going on internally within you. And so when you look at the mirror, and the reflection is frowning, you don't go to the mirror and you try to make the frowning figure smile, right? It doesn't work that way. You internally call up the feeling of happy or excited or whatever from a thought with your emotional and mental body, and then those internal changes create a physical reflection, and then the mirror, the person in the mirror smiles. So if you would like to shift into the version of yourself that is the fully active Adam Kadmon body, or let's say just maybe let's not go all the way there, but let's say the person that is prosperous, the person that's successful, the version of you that is abundant, the version of you that's happy. Basically imagine in your mind's eye, and create a mirror, and in that mirror look at yourself, and the version of you can look exactly like you, but pay attention to what that version looks like and how they think and how they act. And so in that mirror in your mind, in your imagination, look at that version of you that is, let's say the fully aligned Adam Kadmon body vehicle, meaning you have instant ability to manifest, or like let's say you're just really the version of you that's fully happy and at peace and successful. So the version of you that's fully happy, at peace, and successful, look into that mirror in your imagination and look at that version of you and notice the difference in how they think, act, and feel between the difference between you and your current situation. So basically what I'm trying to say is, see how they're thinking, how they're thinking, feeling, and acting, and mimic that. And then your identity will shift into the mirror in your imagination of that version of yourself. Hopefully I'm making sense here, but this is a way to align your frequency to the version of yourself that you wish to experience yourself as. Because again, you yourself are eternal consciousness, and you can choose whatever version of yourself you want to experience yourself as at any time. And all you have to do is set an intention, and then hold your attention on that intention, and then hold it long enough to shift into it. And again, law of attraction, it's not just what you want, you have to actually be that thing to shift into it. So the reason I say this mirror example is because you have to actually think like the successful, happy, confident version of yourself would think. You know what I mean? Like, if you were like in that place now, and a year ago you were maybe very depressed and your life was not in the best situation, you'll see a direct difference between those two versions of yourself, and how the very happy, successful person that's at peace is thinking very differently and feeling and acting very differently than the person that's not at peace, that's frustrated and has anxiety. Okay, so again, talking about the ascension process, the creation part of it that I was kind of referring to, why do I mention the mirror example is because during the creation part, while you're purifying yourself of patterns that are not useful, so energetic patterns that you've unconsciously programmed from birth that aren't useful, while you deprogram those, you simultaneously expand your awareness of who you are, and you simultaneously create new constructs that replace the old ones. So I'm going to move on here, and this is and explain that this process, the ascension process, the expansion of your awareness of who you are, the purification of not useful patterns of lack, of negative patterns within you, and the focusing on the light of the positive patterns that you wish to integrate into you is what's called the great work in alchemy. And the search for the Holy Grail is literally the construction of the personal power field, or you're building the cup that allows you to hold greater amounts of light. That's what the Holy Grail is. As a metaphor, it's like a cup that people are externally searching for, but really what the alchemists knew is to get access to the fifth dimension, which again is instantaneous manifestation. You have to build a container for you to hold a vibrational frequency that's coherent enough to maintain your identity there. So, like, again, an example is like, like an antenna for a like TV, like cable. So, there's like, basic cable, then there's like the medium channels, and then there's like the premium channels, and there's like a specific box or antenna that allows you to pick up those different channels, you know what I mean? And same thing with the Holy Grail or the cup, the personal power field, is you must build or upgrade your antenna around your body with internally, externally, so that you can hold greater amounts of light, so that you can shift into a higher vibratory frequency and experience yourself from a more harmonious perspective. So I'm going to read these quotes because they're really awesome. The vessel wants to receive the light, which is you. You're the vessel, you're the cup. But it cannot receive the light in its current condition. It's like the basic antenna trying to receive the premium channel. It just doesn't have the components to retain that amount of information. So it uses its will to mitigate the nature of how it receives. So basically the antenna, or you, the cup, use your will, your power, the power of your attention to integrate and receive a more upgraded components so that you can receive this light, so that you can shift to higher vibrational frequencies. Okay, so this means it must at first annul all reception of light to the smallest state, and then little by little allow a gradually increasing amount of light into the vessel as it keeps this mitigation up, eventually filling the entire vessel with the strongest light energy. So basically, that second paragraph, what it's saying is, you must stop feeding your attention, or placing your attention on your lower nature, meaning, these vibrational patterns of lack, frustration, anger, separate, by not holding your attention on what's wrong, and then holding your attention on the ideal version that you wish to shift yourself into, and acting like that version, and being as much as you can like that version, you slowly build this cup, and you slowly guide the light to build this new antenna for you to experience yourself in. Let's see, the second quote is very similar, and this is part of the guardian of the threshold. So, illumined and sanctified for his labor by the realization of individual responsibility, the candidate goes forth to master his own lower nature. So once you understand that you are responsible for guiding your life experience, and shifting to the fifth dimension, it's like only you can do it, then the candidate goes forth to master his own lower nature, the beast that must ever stand between him and the altar of his God. The lessons of self-mastery were taught in all the mystery schools. So, what does that mean? Basically, as you understand that you are the one that's responsible for taking yourself to greater heights, as you understand that you must, by your will and managing your attention as best as you can, is how you take yourself to greater heights, to new horizons. You understand that you must conquer your lower self, and your lower self is the guardian of the threshold. So once you can really master your lower emotions, once you can truly manage every thought, every emotion, and every action, every moment, then and only then will you be able to pass on to the next level of your experience, which is the fifth dimension, which again is instantaneous manifestation, harmony, your full psychic abilities, spiritual abilities, and all the ancient mystery schools they prepared themselves so that they can hold their mastery, and everyone from the Egyptians to the Greeks to the modern times, they all, or even to the Mayans and the Aztecs, they all prepared themselves in the mystery schools. And what they do is they set up tests for themselves. All the initiates, they'd set up tests, and they'd like tests, for example, like one of the tests in Egypt was in one of the pyramids or one of the temples or whatever. There was this test where there's a room, and in the room there is a it's like there's an underwater, there's a pathway, and then there's like water with crocodiles, and you have to find the exit, and you have to go into the water and to get to the exit, and there's crocodiles there, and so you'd have to basically face your fear and go down into the water, and then as you go into the water, you see all these crocodiles, and behind them you see the exit. But really, that wasn't the real exit. You'd have to go deeper, and then you'd go into this like dark water tunnel, and in pitch black, swim up and go in through the real exit. And and in Egypt, at least, the crocodiles were pre-fed, but the initiates didn't know that. It's kind of like college hazing now, but and so the whole point of this thing was so that the initiate would remove fear from the system, like shed fear, and the Mayans, they didn't care. They really did not care about the person dying, because they knew that they were eternal, and this was kind of like they played those games where you like throw the ball through the hole, and then like the winner dies or something. I don't exactly remember, but a lot of cultures did this so that they can remove the fear from the initiate. And they knew that death wasn't the end. Like, so they didn't. Some of the cultures were more like I don't care if they die, but as we progressed, we ideally want to not have to reincarnate with a whole new body and go through this whole thing again. So anyway, this is what the great work is all about. It's all about the purification of self and mastery over your lower nature, so that you can create the personal power field that will help you maintain a coherent frequency in the higher dimensions. So this is a good time to talk about the aura, which is kind of like your personal power field, sort of. The aura is a containment field of your unique personality expression. It is kind of like the cup. It's like the vibrational tone or frequency that you give off to the world. And it's around you, so it's like this big. Right now, it's around me. It's around everyone. It's like a torus field, and it's a self-sustaining energetic field. And within it are different layers of yourself. So there's a physical layer, which is you can see, and it doesn't look like much is changing here. But then there's the mental layer, which is your mental body, which is all your emotions and all your mental thoughts and things. Electrical based, and then your emotional body, which is all the emotions, and then it goes spiritual body, and so on and so forth. And I wrote this computer program analogy. So you as consciousness, I don't know if you remember, the first slide I showed you was this circle, this complete circle as the one, basically. And so you as this consciousness created a living program, if you think in terms of computers and computer analogies. Think of yourself as you sitting in the chair and you're a programmer. So you as this guy, this consciousness sitting in the chair, created a living program called the body, okay, like this body. And you did this so that you can experience yourself in the world. And the world, and you agreed to the environment you were born into, the playing field, the general rules, and and other avatars or other bodies that you're going to interact with in this experience, which is called physical reality. And so, as you come into the world, you have a specific mission, okay, but you forget it when you densify. Through, as you get born and stuff, you still retain cellular information in your cellular DNA from your past lives and things of that nature, but you forget a lot. And so you as this consciousness created this program, which is the body, and this is what I'm talking about. You as the consciousness are able to place your attention on any of the infinite things within yourself, within the infinite pool of all things that are within yourself. And by placing your attention on those things, you're, from the finite perspective of the body, you are reprogramming yourself and reprogramming your aura and reprogramming the way you think, the way you act, and your stability, and every thought and every emotion changes. Your aura is constantly changing. It's like an energetic field that's constantly in motion that you don't see with your five senses, but it is there. And so every time you put your attention on something, you're integrating more and more stuff. And so I'm going to talk briefly, because it's a whole other lecture in itself, but there's something called the fall of consciousness. And during the fall of consciousness, you as the one, you created multiple aspects of yourself. There's hierarchies of awareness or whatever. And so you experimented, and you created this thing called physical reality, which is like an environment, an experience, a realm of experience. And as you kept experimenting and going into greater depths into the darkness, you kept experimenting, and then you started experimenting with the dark, basically, and the fall of consciousness slowly occurred because you started to more and more integrate and create from a place of contamination, like resentment, or small traces of these patterns, and they grew like weeds in the garden, and we went into the darkness so much that we straight up forgot not only who we are, but our connection to everything else, and our connection to Source, which is the most tragic of those things, because that's where all the suffering comes from, is our belief in separation, in limitation. And so now, but the good news is this shift in consciousness is all about building ourselves back together, and coming back to the one, coming back to our authentic nature. And so as the fall of consciousness occurred, there was something called the 3D, third dimension, that was created, which was a construct that was petitioned by the archangels to the Creator, that asked, is like a cube, that asked Creator to create a polarized, field that wouldn't allow us to fall any deeper into the darkness. So because we forgot so much, we could have continued. The trend was we'd continue to fall into the darkness to where it would be very, very challenging to get you back into the light. Because again, the darkness, and what I mean by darkness is not people or whatever, it's patterns of lack, patterns of hate, patterns of anger, patterns of separateness, so it's not any one person or thing, it's like tentacles of darkness. I don't know how else to describe it. So anyway, so as we fell, we got kind of chained up, and we forgot ourselves, and as we've experimented, we're done with that now, and we're shifting into remembering ourselves. And that's what it means to wake up. Waking up is not some airy thing. It's like you're just becoming aware of being aware. You're waking up to an understanding that you are not fundamentally the body. Your consciousness is within, or the body is within your consciousness. And your consciousness is holding its attention in a very specific way, and you're eternal, you're multidimensional, you have other experiences simultaneously other than this physical experience. I can go on, there's other lectures on these things, like solar extensions and other stuff like that. Okay, so as we fell in the fall of consciousness, we, knowing we're going into the darkness pretty much, we created this thing, like the full human. I'm going to talk about the full, complete human, because right now, majority of everyone is functioning from not a complete version of the complete human of your. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the 3 aspects of your personal being. And these 3 aspects are what is going to help you to walk your way through the illusion. Do you know what I mean? And so, everyone is familiar with the ego or the physical mind. Now, the physical mind is... Okay, so let me, I guess, word it this way. There's the higher mind, there's the physical mind, and there's the brain. And that makes up your finite expression. That makes up your, personal identity construct. Right here, right now, in this physical reality, experiencing yourself. And so you have to, once you understand that you have these 3 parts to yourself and how they mechanically interact with each other, you can begin to utilize them in a very efficient way that allows you to more easily move through your physical reality. So I'll briefly talk about this also and start with the physical mind. The physical mind, its job is literally only to perceive how things are happening. The physical mind is like, if you use the perspective of a video game, right? The higher mind is like the guy with the controller playing the game. The physical mind is like the character in the game, sort of. And the brain is like the system that connects both. Okay? And so the physical mind is capable of choosing. So the physical mind is only responsible for perceiving how things happened. Meaning, the physical mind, and you are the physical mind primarily. That's what you're identifying with right now. Primarily, your only job, literally, is to just perceive what has happened. That's it. Not to figure anything out. Is just to literally perceive what it is that's happening right now in the present moment. And the higher mind, which is literally you. It's just the higher version. It's the you in the mountaintop. It's like the you that can see above and see the whole playing field. The physical mind is like the you that's in the trenches, in the valley, in the forest. And the higher mind is like the one that sees the whole blueprint of physical reality and sees multidimensionally. And the brain is like the receiver or antenna that communicates between the higher mind and the physical mind. It's like it's what keeps you grounded in physical reality also. So the higher mind, its job is to conceive how things will happen. So if you think about it this way, right now I'm talking and I'm just talking and talking and talking. And I'm not consciously picking a word. I'm not consciously picking what exactly I'm going to say every second before I say it. Like consciously, I'm not conscious. All I'm doing is perceiving me talking from my physical mind perspective. And anything I feel or think, all those things come from the higher mind. The higher mind is sending things for me to say and think. And the physical mind, it just observes what's being said and what it thinks. So the thing, though, is the physical mind has a choice or the free will to perceive what it wants to perceive. So the higher mind could be sending a bunch of messages, synchronicities, coincidental meetings, information, bunch of stuff. But the physical mind, because it thinks it's in charge for majority of us, it feels like it needs to figure everything out on its own. It needs to do the job of the higher mind. But really, all the physical mind needs to do is just pay attention. That's it. Just be aware of what's happening. Because as the physical mind holds its attention on something, the brain is automatically transformed, is automatically rewired to some degree. So So basically what I'm trying to say is you have to trust, and this is when everybody says, yo, let go, just let go, man. What it really means to let go is to trust the higher mind, to trust that everything that's happening right now is literally perfect, and because you are perfect, you are perfection. You don't have to look for perfection. It's already perfect. Everything is already perfect. All you have to do is let go of thinking it's not perfect. That's what it means to let go. Let go of thinking that your current situation is not perfect. And by doing that, you start to understand that we are here to perceive and understand and pay attention because there's something that the higher mind is trying to tell us that's going to help us get to the next level. So like if some negative situation happens or some positive situation happens, the higher mind is trying to communicate with you and tell you, pay attention to something very specific here. Pay attention on your authenticity in this moment. Look, because the physical mind can choose what it pays attention to. So it has to pay attention to the things that are in most alignment with your natural, authentic vibration, which is unique to every person. So my point is, this is a huge, if you can understand this, it'll make your life a lot easier. Everything, literally, every moment is perfect. Literally. Not in some conceptual way. Every moment, even right now, this is perfection happening right now. For me, for you, for everything. Everything is literally perfect. And when you can let go of things not being perfect, then your life will flow. And you'll move on to the next level quicker and quicker and quicker. You'll accelerate your vibration at the fastest possible rate. Because when you say, hey, this moment wasn't supposed to happen to me, why did this happen to me? For example, like you lost something that was valuable to you, or some unfortunate event happened, or some positive event happened. You could be like, well, why is this happening to me? The whole point is the higher mind, these are stepping stones in consciousness. And so as you pay attention, you use up, like the higher mind points to things that are out of harmony within yourself, and it creates these negative experiences. And as you pay attention to these negative experiences, you start to see how they're trying to tell you something about yourself. Every experience, every moment is trying to tell you something about you, particularly you. And so as the physical mind, the more you can pay attention and understand and be silent and observe, by observing, you're rewiring your brain. You don't have to do anything to rewire yourself and create the container for more light other than perceive and choose to perceive what is in most alignment with who you naturally are. And the higher mind will help you, lead you to greater and greater heights if you work with it, if you pay attention to your external and internal happenings. So the higher mind, okay, I'm going to move on. Let's see. So creating your personal power field. So there's this guy right here, and he's in an octahedron, and there's a circle around him. And the personal power field is, again, I was talking a little bit about this throughout. It's the container that allows you to hold greater amounts of light, and it allows you to hold a stability and maintain a coherent connection in the higher vibratory dimensions. So the personal power field is, again, that three-part process: the purification, the creation, focusing on your natural self, your authentic vibration, and expanding your understanding of who you are. All of that is kind of what I'm talking about with the clearing. By removing all the who you are not, all the beliefs from other people, you strengthen your own light, and you remove all the baggage that you've been carrying. The octahedron is the actual sacred geometry that you would build around yourself, internally and externally. That is a container, like a cup, like see, all things have form in the physical reality on an atomic level, and so the octahedron is a sacred geometry form that you start out with that acts as an antenna that can receive more light, because you're constantly getting bombarded with light, like constantly. You are always being sent light from everywhere in the universe. The problem is you don't have the antenna built around you because of the fall of consciousness. A lot was fragmented, a lot was lost. You had to rebuild this octahedron around you internally and externally to be able to hold more light, to receive more light, and eventually it expands into the star tetrahedron. But and so as you build this octahedron, you begin to more stably create a unified field around you. And the unified field is, so this is what the octahedron antenna allows you to do. It allows you to get more light and hold it within your sphere, and around it, this circle, is the unified field. And the unified field is like, it's the thing that allows you to tap into, more consciously, into your infinite self, into the one. It basically allows you to tap more into the field of, infinite field of possibilities. So, the unified field is super important because it also allows you to make a greater connection to your higher mind, which is like your 8th chakra, and your soul star, which is your 9th chakra. And then also part of creating your personal power field is during the fall of consciousness, a lot of our chakras were fragmented and they function from a survival perspective. And so one of the parts in creating a personal power field is you rewire the chakras to receive, because the chakras are like energy centers, like think of like they all have different functions and they're all supposed to work as one simultaneous unit. They're not supposed to be separate. They're all supposed to be working together in a unified field. And they pull in information through these energy centers, and so you have to do a little bit of rewiring. Again, the Holy Grail, this whole presentation is all about the great work, which is all about building the container that allows you to hold greater amounts of light so that you can be stably in, shift into the 5th dimension and beyond. And again, it's my analogy of upgrading, from basic cable to premium cable. You need to change the dish so that you can receive more channels. Or, like another analogy is of a speedboat. You have like a 45 horsepower speedboat and it can only go X amount of speed. And then if you upgrade the motor and the structure of the vessel and you add in some other things, you can take that speedboat to like 140 miles per hour or whatever. And it's not like the speedboat that has less of a capability to go faster is worse. It's just a different choice for you to experience yourself in from an eternal perspective. And I for one do want to experience myself free from limitation. And so that's why I choose to reprogram, rewire, and build this cup so I can literally build the ship that will take me to a new horizon, because I feel like I've had enough of understanding what the 3rd dimension, 4th dimension are all about. Okay, and so here's some of the challenges that we meet and why the personal power field is important. The challenges are that everything wants to get your attention. So you can see the presentation here. There's family, friends, religion, environment, teachers, media. All of these things, they have their own idea of what the world is like, what they believe in, what you should or shouldn't do, what's possible, what's not possible, what's right, what's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And so from birth, you came in pure, basically, unless, you came in pure, basically, and then you, like a sponge, soaked up all these different beliefs from all these different fields. Because, you trusted, you came from a realm of unconditional love, of spirit, which is instant manifestation, you get what you want. So when you come into physical reality, you have that same level of trust, and then you integrate all these belief systems to be a part of that experience, that reality, and then you integrate all these belief systems that are not healthy for you, but they're necessary to anchor you in that experience. Again, everything is perfect. I'm going to go back to this. Everything is literally perfect. So when I say, I want to shift into the fifth dimension because I've had enough of 3D, realistically, I chose to be here, and so did you, and so did everyone else, because it's somehow valuable from a higher perspective. There's something that we need to understand and see and experience here. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, because the one is perfect. It is whole and complete. Everything that it creates is perfect, whole, and complete. And thus we are whole and complete, and everything is whole and complete and perfect. And so we're here to experience, to do something, to understand something. And maybe it's to experience ascension. It's different for every being. Transmute things from dark to light. The thing is, physical reality, or just any reality, all structure, has no intrinsic meaning built into it. So we, as the physical mind, the creator, the higher mind, we have the ability to give the structure, the experience that we have, its meaning. So when you are running in a race and then you fall flat on your face, you have the ability, the structure of that experience is there. You running, falling down on your face is there, but it has no inherent built-in meaning built into it. It's like you give it that meaning. So if you choose to be embarrassed, then that's what you're going to program into your neurocortex, and you're going to take on these beliefs like, I'm not good enough, people laughed at me because I fell down. And I hope you can kind of understand that this is how we take on beliefs that aren't ours, and unconsciously believe things that aren't, that are just a choice. They're not right or wrong, it's just a choice. So it's, how do you wish to experience yourself, is the whole bulk of this alchemy work. And so again, all these family, friends, religion, environment, teachers, media, they pass on their negative patterns to you. It's not like they're bad people. They may love you and want what's best for you, but they themselves took on belief systems and patterns unconsciously from their parents and beyond, and so on and so on. And they're just passing them on to you unconsciously. But with the personal power field, you have the ability to choose what goes into your aura, what goes into your field, and easily discern between someone else's belief and the belief you want to integrate into yourself. So even what I'm saying now, with the personal power field, you can choose what it is you're going to integrate and what you're going to just say, hey, that's not what I identify with. It's okay. See, the thing is with reality is there's good and there's bad. And the good and the bad are perfectly valid choices. There's no need to devalue the bad or the good in any way, because they're stepping stones to your evolution, to your experience of yourself. That's why I'm saying every moment is perfect, because every moment is telling you something about yourself that you need to understand to move on to the next level. Like in a video game, you have to pass through each boss or each test to move on to the next one. So every moment is literally perfect, and you want to just be amused with what you want to interact with your higher self, which will talk to you through synchronicities and omens and other people and information, and it all leads you to something amazing, to something great, to the greatness that you are, back to the one. And so with the personal power field, you're able to hold these new understandings and things that you gather, and discern between choosing negative things and unconsciously choosing negative things to incorporate into yourself. So it's like if you're running in that race and then you fall flat on your face, and all the people around you are laughing at you externally, you have a choice. And they're like, haha, you suck or something, or like, you can't run. And they're projecting that onto you, their beliefs onto you. So you yourself have the choice whether it is you're going to believe them or not, and what meaning you're going to give that situation. And so, the personal power field basically makes it easier for you to not just unconsciously choose these nasty negative things that other people are unconsciously throwing at you. Hopefully I'm making sense here and not talking too fast, but so I wrote this quote by Shakespeare that when sorrows come, they come not single spies, but in battalions. So what that means is, like, when you hold your attention on, like, if you fell down in that race and everyone's laughing at you and you're embarrassed, and then you start to dwell on that, you start to get all these other negative things coming into your auric field, like, I'm not good enough, or, oh my God, everyone's going to hate me, and they're not, I can't achieve anything, I don't know, whatever, so that's what it means, like, just like negative distractions keep on coming at you, and what you want to do is build that stability so that you can be the light in the darkness, and be the authentic version of yourself that you wish to be, and reflect the light that you are to others, so that others can know that they can hold their authenticity as well, and it's okay for them to do it, because, again, externally, this is the challenge of the physical experience, is that externally we see one thing, but really there's a whole infinite sea of invisible choices and experiences we can align ourselves with. So we're winding down to our time limit here. We started like 10 minutes late, so I'll go 10 minutes beyond 8:30. But this is kind of just my opinion on the accelerated shift of 2010, the years 2010 and 2015 in our linear time perspective right now and beyond. So in my opinion, time is speeding up. And we are moving towards timelessness. We're moving towards the end of time as a concept, as we've defined it so far. So we're moving more and more into present time. Things are moving way quicker. I don't know if you're noticing that, but for me personally too, is time is speeding up. The days are going by way quicker, and it's all about maintaining your awareness in present time. And if you're really, really excited and do what you love and are aligned with who you are, then it'll feel like the day just went by in literally a second. If you hate what you're doing, time will drag on, but it's still speeding up. And with time speeding up, that means that what you attract, what you hold your attention on, you're more quickly bringing to you. So it's like the 3D buffer of the bowling that I was talking about earlier. The 3D configuration is gone. It's as of December 21, 2012, it's no longer there. 4D is still here, however, but the point is you're attracting things to yourself at a much more accelerated rate. So this 2010 to 2015, in my opinion, is a window of time where you can really, really quickly raise your vibrational frequency very quickly, much quicker than has ever been happened in our humanity's history. It's like a specific time where certain cycles end, other cycles start. It's like a evolutionary leap, in my opinion, of humanity, where we're all going to go through these dimensional shifts. And I believe that we as a humanity is preparing to shift into a multi-dimensional experience. So what we're doing collectively is going through this purification process and preparing ourselves to step into 5D, which again I was talking about, which is instantaneous manifestation. Now, you'll be like, well, I don't think a lot of people are ready for that. And what I believe is, I don't believe we're all going to shift into 5D all at once. But again, I don't know what's going to happen exactly. But I do believe that as we purify ourselves, as we build these containment fields, as we deprogram the negative belief systems and reprogram positive belief systems, as we expand our understanding of who we are, we will more, in this window of acceleration, will very quickly align ourselves to be masterful of ourselves. And everyone will do this at a different pace, but everyone will have to do it if they want to shift into 5D. And so my perspective is that there's going to be waves of people. So you'll see waves of groups, basically groups of people, smaller collectives within the bigger human collective, shifting into 5D based on whoever's ready at the time that is ordained to do this, I guess. So, when you're ready, and then you're able to shift. And these waves, the first waves will shift, and then by them shifting as like a collective, like 144,000 people, let's say, shift their and are capable of holding 5D consciousness. They now are an example to the rest of the world of what's possible, and by them walking the path, they've trodden the path more, and they're able to help others shift into 5D. So everyone that's not as awake now, that's totally okay, because it's going to be way easier for them to shift later as the first wave and second wave and so on shifts. But everyone, I don't believe anyone will be left behind in the shift, in my opinion. But I believe the shift will be a real experience. I believe that it will be a totally different level of consciousness that is hardly understandable from our perspective right now. Because what I'm talking about is multidimensionality. I'm talking about being able to perceive multi-timelines and choose a different timeline. You know what I mean? Like instant manifestation. No eternity, like no death. You don't die. You can change your form and move on to a different experience. You don't have to die. You can choose to just, because energy is never destroyed or created. You just shift to something else. And death is like a concept that we've created because we believe that because of our negative belief systems that we literally can't sustain ourselves even in 3D. So anyway, my outtake on this is that everyone is safe, everything is perfect, and everyone is taken care of. And even a bigger perspective, you're eternal. Your consciousness, you're eternal. You're going to be okay regardless. And so again, I believe we're all going to shift in waves, but we're all going to have to go through this process, so you might as well go through it sooner than later, at least in my opinion. And the process, again, is the purification of self that I kind of discussed, and the importance of building this personal power field of the octahedron, and, again, all this rewiring and clearing of who you're not, paying attention. I've covered really quite a lot of different things, and including, the three aspects of who you are: the higher mind, physical mind, brain, how attention guides your experience. These concepts are no easy thing to integrate into your understanding. Like conceptually, intellectually, you may understand, but you really want to spend some time and really understand it and make it part of your belief system. Like you want it to be as natural of an understanding as you standing up, like standing up is an application. Like right now, I stood up, and energetically that is an application. That's like a computer program within the auric field that is a belief system that knows I can stand up. There's no doubt in my mind. It's just I stand up, I'm already standing, you know? So you want to deprogram these negative belief systems of like when people really, really, truly believe that they are not worthy or that they are lacking or something. They truly believe it, really, truly believe it. And you have to like deprogram all that. You have to deprogram it so that you can have more peace and harmony and love and just be happy and enjoy yourself in a much greater way. And only you can do it. And I will provide as many tools and concepts and ideas if you so choose to align to any future webinars to assist you in your process, but it's you that's doing the work. All right, so again, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Notice what is happening internally and externally. Be aware of being aware. Each moment is perfect. The higher mind is speaking to you. So again, you're coming from the physical mind perspective, and the higher mind is talking to you through your internal and external reflections. And so your only job is to literally pay attention to what's happening. And by paying attention, you begin to understand things. Like when you look at an object, for example, like here's an object. When you look at this object, you begin to get information about it. Like it's got angles and it's red and it's got a shiny luster and blah, blah, blah. And you can take it apart. And so as you're looking at this object, you're starting to integrate information about the object and wiring certain patterns and anchoring certain things just by perceiving it. So when you pay attention to what's out of harmony within yourself, like you have a fight with someone and you're angry, notice that you're angry, notice where the anger is coming from within you. And by understanding it, you'll start to understand that, hey, I don't have to choose anger anymore or place my attention on it, and I have a different choice. And it's literally by paying attention that you rewire yourself. You don't do anything more than that. It's just paying attention, just paying attention. And so all your experiences you have are on purpose, and each experience is asking you to pay attention to what you can learn from that experience. And then in ancient cultures too, like synchronicities or coincidences are really just blatant signs for you to pay attention. Like, pay attention. Why did this happen in this specific way? Like, everything is perfect. Even the choices you make tell you something about yourself. You can't make a wrong choice. You can just make a choice that will lead you to not who you are, but by leading you to not who you are, you know that that's not who you are, so now you don't ever make that choice again. Again, everything has value, so paying attention. And paying attention to the synchronicities and omens, like repeating numbers or like people that come into your space at the time that you need them to, or whatever, like pay attention. And then also discern between your real truth and your false truth. And again, it's like, because the physical mind can choose to place its attention on what it wants. And the higher mind will continue to send information, but you could sometimes confuse your higher mind with your lower self, your unconscious self. And how you can tell the difference is the higher mind, every action, your real truth is always going to be based on love and abundance. It's always going to be based on this concept of your eternity, this indestructibility of yourself. It's always going to be based on, your real truth is always based on complete abundance and love. So any action you take should be coming from that place, ideally, at least to the best of your ability. And anything that's false is you're doing it from a place of fear or lack. So it's like, are you going to take that job, that new job, and you're only taking that new job because you're afraid, because you're lacking, because you feel like if you don't, you're gonna die or your life's gonna be a failure? That's what I would call doing something out of falseness. Doing something out of your real truth would be like doing something that you love, following your excitement. And you do it because you love it, you do it because you're excited about it, and you do it. And again, like, you could do this like full-fledged, but also you could do it in baby steps. You can transition into following your excitement. And as you deconstruct all these negative patterns that prevent you from following your excitement and integrate new patterns that assist you in following your excitement, as long as you're moving in the right direction, in towards what you love, towards what's exciting to you, as long as you're taking at least baby steps with no expectations towards what you really want to do, that's all you got to do and you'll be fine. So I leave an inspiring quote: "Press on through the valley of darkness, overcome the dweller of night. Keep ever thine eyes to the light plain, and thou shalt be one with the light." From Thoth, Hermes, the alchemist, who's taught a lot of this information. So so this is kind of the majority of the information. Lastly, before I end here, and if you guys have questions, please message me in the chat box right now before we end the session, or if you want to email me, go ahead. But before I end, I want to mention this course that I'm going to do is called Creating the Personal Power Field, which is an accelerated pathway. It's like a specific pathway of all the stuff I'm talking about, but it's like a 5-week course pathway that was co-created by the Ascended Masters and Archangels and humans as an experiment that accelerates you as the individual through the ascension process. And I'm calling the course Creating the Personal Power Field. It's 14 hours of recorded video content, like 5 live sessions with me. It's literally a step-by-step course of building the personal power field, all these new energy tools and things. And you can read all about that on the site if you're interested. I'm not going to try to sell you on it, but because I believe you'll attract yourself to the information you need on your ascension process. I highly believe this. So if you really resonate with taking this course, and like let's say you don't have the income to take the course right now, but you really feel like you're resonating with taking the course, which is a 5-week course, and again, it's you do this with your play group. Just set the intention. The course is $225, which is maybe a lot for some people. For it's like 5 weeks, 14 hours recorded content, 12 hours live content. But just set the intention. Hey, I need $225 to take this course, and I really want to take this course. And let your higher mind bring you the money, and have no expectations of how the money will come. But when the money does come, validate yourself by signing up for the course. So this is my just thing to you, is like, don't just disregard the course, even if you want to take it, and be like, don't play on your limited contamination of I'm lacking, I can't afford this, or I can't pay for it. Even though that may be the external case right now, just do this one thing and see, and just make it an experiment, and just literally set the intention for that specific amount of money, and just see if it comes to you. And if it does, take the course. If it doesn't, don't take the course. Or if you have the money, take the course if you want to take it. Anyway, so regardless if you take the course or not, I'm going to continue to be doing webinars on energy tools to provide as much free information as I can. But the reason the course is so important is because it's like a pathway. Like the live webinars are cool, but you get the full pathway. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like you're just more in a group, you're more in an agreement, a collective agreement, part of the specific pathway. And there's a lot of other pathways out there. So I'll continue to do free webinars, and I'll be teaching some of these tools on the right-hand side, like the center of the head tool, the grounding cord, the rose tool, which helps you clear people and things out of the center of your head, the living words, so how geometries and words and how you can build specific thought forms to attract things into your life, how you can change your vibrational tone consciously. I'll talk about the 7 layers of thought. So these are like levels of thinking that you can function from and live your life from. Balancing your masculine and feminine. Everyone has the masculine and the feminine side to them that I'm going to talk about balancing. And it's like your right brain, left brain, but when you're in perfect harmony, you know, you're functioning from, you know, higher vibrational frequency, the chakra systems, a lot of other stuff like connecting to the soul, talking about Atlantis, connecting the 3 kingdoms, going into the sanctuary of the pink diamond, connecting more with the higher mind, the language of light, a lot of really cool stuff. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the chat box or just shoot me an email. If you want to be on the next email thread of when I'm going to have the next webinar, please shoot me an email of your email or leave it in the chat box so I could put you on that list. And leave you with this quote: "Know ye, man, ye are the ultimate of all things. Only the knowledge of this is forgotten, lost when man was cast into bondage, bound and fettered by the chains of the darkness." That's thought from like long ass time ago, during the Egyptian times, speaking in that, saying that. Basically, I want to leave you with this final note. You are an incredible, amazing, eternal being that is always okay. You're never not okay. And what's happening now is you have the ability to program and wire yourself in a way that will lead you out of this darkness that you chose to bring yourself in, to experience yourself. Because think about it this way: you are infinity, okay? And you're using your infinity to create an abnormal experience of limitation. It's abnormal to be limited. There's like, you know, if infinity was 100%, 10% would be like limited experience, which many of the beings that exist do not even understand what limitation is, because the natural way of things is unlimited instant manifestation. And so you, as this infinite being, created an experience for yourself of limitation, and you did it for a reason, and now you're done with that experiment. Now you're heading back home to the heart of Creator, and you're graduating. You and everyone on this earth is a master class. Master, like graduate, you know, like doctorate degree, because physical reality is so challenging. That's why they call it the master class, is because it's such a challenging. Not all beings have the ability to make it through this physical experience. So kudos to you, and thanks for joining in on my webinar, and I will talk to you soon. And I will probably post this online. And peace, guys. Check out my website, whoami.me.